You're listening to the Flickcast, a podcast about stuff nerds love. I am Chris Ulrich, and joining me, of course, my esteemed and terrific, wonderful, and a man who could wear shorts like anybody's business, Joe Dilber. Hey, Joe.
Feeling a little wolfish
Exposed?
though, and hairy, so I don't know if I should wear shorts. But
Are you feeling exposed?
yes, a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, lots to talk about in this episode. I think I kind of flubbed the intro, but I'm going to let it go because I'm a professional. Wait, that doesn't make sense. I really should go back and record it again, but I'm not going to.
I think there was like a confluence of good and esteemed there.
There was, and also just to prove that we're not robots or something.
Yes.
Robots.
We do the intro and outro live each episode.
And in color.
Yeah, well, sometimes. Maybe in this. I think this episode's in black and white, though. So
Is it? It is in black and white, yes, to celebrate Werewolf by Night. So that is one of the things we'll be discussing today, Werewolf by Night, tonight. And also some more Rings of Power and She-Hulk and maybe a few other things. But let's jump into the Marvel Holiday Special, shall we?
We should, yeah.
I love the fact. I love the fact that it's like the intro is like I think it's supposed to be like the CBS special or something. But I remember that as a kid. Obviously, I don't know. I can't recall how old Michael Giacchino is, but I think we're probably close to the same age. So he probably saw that same thing growing up too. But of course, we're talking about Werewolf by Night, a fantastic, I would say, stupendous and terrific entry into the Marvel little movies thing. But it's so good and so kind of starting to diverge from Marvel and gives you a good glimpse in what like an R-rated Marvel film could be, right? I mean, there was definitely more violence, and all that. So I loved it. I thought it was terrific. What did you think?
I absolutely loved it. It like you said, from the the quick intro at the beginning, special presentation, certainly evoked the special TV movies that we watch as a kid. It being presented and transitioning into black and white, to me, made it feel like so that back in the 70s, early 80s, Marvel had a line of magazines that were like specialty magazines, that horror, kung fu, sci-fi. They were black and white magazines, and they were kind of geared more for adults, and that's what this felt like to me. It was really, really evocative of that, and it was just great. I even liked a couple nice little call-outs where the beginning of it after it transitioned to black and white, started out like grainy, and the voice soundtrack had static over it, and it kind of cleaned up as it went. But I especially also liked the cigarette burns for no reason, which were great. Like, oh, it's time to change the reel. That was there was a lot about it that was really good. Yeah, and that's before we even get to the story. So,
the changeover cues were funny addition. Although I Fincher did that with Fight Club too. But and even Brad Pitt even calls attention to it before he puts in the 4 frames of a penis during Snow White. But that's
yes, exactly.
That's a different movie. Yeah,
that's a whole different movie.
That's a whole different movie. We should talk about Fight Club sometime because it's we should. We can't talk about Fight Club. Never mind.
Right, we're not supposed to. No.
Yeah, I thought it was terrific. I would say that it's probably my favorite sort of Marvel. I mean, I don't want to say Marvel horror film, but my favorite little. It wasn't quite feature length. But it was I would call it a movie still. It was just, there was so many things that were working. The screenplay was terrific. The acting was great. The cinematography is beautiful. I mean, I like black and white. I'm a sucker for black and white. So it's just, everybody was really well cast. And the music, of course, by the director. He also did the music because why not, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm going to pick myself to do the music. Sure.
Yes, I'm a fine composer. You may have heard of my work, some of my work.
I love the soundtrack, by the way. That was it was lovely.
You were talking about the opening titles. I thought it was terrific how the werewolf claws slash through the Marvel logo. They started to change it over to, but it was not the 3 claws of Wolverine, of course. It was 4 claws for a werewolf. But Gail Garcia Bernal, he was terrific. Laura Donnelly, terrific, and we got to see the first live action appearance of Man-Thing in an MCU.
Yeah, I think so, and that's kind of what I really liked about it. Is the story was really about a dude looking for his best friend. He was looking for his friend Ted. And Ted turns out to be Man-Thing, which who apparently has a very good sense of humor too. So.
He does.
Yes, and sushi. And
I love the fact that And for me, it seemed more. I'm an old school film fan, so I love the fact that Man Thing was practical. He was like a real guy in a suit.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was very little CGI in this thing, and they did a lot of this stuff just on the day and whatever. And I think it adds realism, and but it was interesting to see this on a Disney platform. Although they already have Deadpool and everything on Disney Plus, so it's not that much of a stretch. But this does give you a good, I think, insight into Marvel's plans for the future, especially now that there are monsters in the MCU. And of course, I guess my biggest question is, where was Blade? Do you think Blade would have been there? Because he's a monster hunter. But
you would think so, but maybe he was busy.
Well, he was. I'm sure there were conversations about having Blade in this, but I think they'd rather introduce him, in his own movie probably. Although who knows if that's ever going to get made now? They lost their director, right? So
yeah.
I mean, they didn't lose him. He didn't like leave him in the parking lot somewhere. He just Where'd the director go? That was so weird.
Yeah, it's like, wait, wasn't there supposed to be a director here today?
We were just here. I'll direct Blade. That's fine. I understand.
Yeah,
I understand how the character works. He's a vampire who kills vampires, but he's also walks by day.
Got it. I'm on it. Yes.
He's also kind of an asshole. Let's be honest.
Yes.
But it's hard not to. It would be hard not to call back to Wesley Snipes, which I think his version of Blade was still pretty good. I think it's.
Yes.
People also forget that was one of the first like Marvel MCU, I guess you could call it, movies that actually did really well in a long time and paved the way for a lot of other things. So,
I mean, they made 3 of them, so they did pretty well. So, yeah.
I wonder if you get. Well, I was going to say, if you could get Ryan Reynolds to come back as Deadpool, and you could get anyway. I don't think he and Wesley Snipes will work together, probably, but anyway. Anyway, yes, Werewolf by Night. Sorry, and we're talking about. I should have said spoilers too, because.
Oh right, yeah, we kind of.
That's that should be implied at this point.
I'm kind of interested because I know this phase of the Marvel universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe, is all about the multiverse. And in the comics, Man Thing inhabited the swamps of Florida and protected the nexus of all realities. So I wonder if that's going to eventually come into play.
What is the nexus of all realities, Joe?
Well, it's kind of like a doorway to other dimensions. It allowed for Howard the Duck to team up with Man Thing, among other characters. So, it could be. I don't know. It could be interesting.
The question is, if Man Thing is busy in some ritualistic changeover of the Bloodstone, then who's protecting the nexus?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So maybe that's why things are screwy. So.
Well, maybe things are screwy because of Loki too. That was my other theory, because he did cause a lot of time divergence, right, with his TVA
That's
events
true.
and stuff. So who knows? Maybe he created monsters in the MCU. Maybe he created, whatever.
But yeah, it is a gateway to like all possible realities. So maybe it hasn't been created yet. Maybe that's kind of the solution to curing the multiversal shenanigans. Maybe is creating the nexus of all realities.
That's possible. Anything is possible in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In fact, we don't even know if this takes place in the prime timeline. We don't know anything. It's just a story.
That's true. It is just a story.
Although they
but
do
it was
show
a damn good one. But.
It was, and they do show the Avengers at the beginning. So
that's true, and they do kind of the little opening monologue kind of ties it in. I do want to also give a nice shout out to Kirk Thatcher, Bus Punk. For you Star Trek fans, he plays he plays a monster hunter here and a lonely one. Poor Javon, and he doesn't.
Things don't go well for him.
No, but it was kind of like, oh hey, Kirk Thatcher, that's awesome.
Yeah, Kirk Thatcher's actually. I didn't realize he's actually directed a lot of things, a lot of Muppet films. Yeah. I didn't realize that, but it's it was. The cast I thought was excellent. There was no real weak points at all. Like I said, Gail Garcia Bernal and Laura Donnelly and Harriet Sansom Harris.
Yes,
awesome.
She's always good to see.
Suitably evil. I really enjoyed. I mean, there was a lot of really interesting little beats about it, little things, and like him trying to be. I'm trying to remember you. He's like
smelling her. She's like, well, "What are you doing?
What is happening?"
Yeah.
I don't really know that much about Elsa Bloodstone or that, but I know she's a comic character. I don't know exactly if she has powers or whatever, but I thought that the whole idea of the Bloodstone, because I think it was originally called the Blood Gem or something, because they changed
No, it's
everything.
still the Bloodstone, but
No, I think they changed they were the Infinity Gems at one point, so I think they changed everything to stones at one point too. Marvel's doing that, so I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong, but
no, Bloodstone was always the Bloodstone.
it was okay.
And Ulysses Bloodstone has always been kind of like kind of a young adventurer kind of guy. So it was interesting that they like made him old and killed him off. So in this, but
he's just like so crypt keeper to me. It was kind of funny.
Yeah,
including his really bad joke at the end.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'll be rotting for you. Sorry. Dude, my favorite part though also was the fucking flaming tuba player. That was very cool.
That was pretty cool. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, and Elsa Bloodstone kind of came about in the comics after the success of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and other things like that. Although they didn't really hugely age Ulysses into like an old guy. He was, kind of more of a grown up, and Elsa was a kind of young teenager-ish type character. So it's kind of interesting that they went with her as the focus for this, but I think it worked. And like you said, Laura Donnelly was pretty awesome. Although I can't help but see the resemblance between her and now I can't remember names, who plays Jessica Jones. They look very similar to me.
They do, yeah. The sort of brunette looking. Well, that's okay. I mean, they're both very beautiful. So, and different people. But yes, I did see that too. Yeah, I can't remember her name either. That's sad. But we're just old. We can't remember things anymore.
Kristen Ritter. Yeah.
Kristen Ritter. Yeah. Well, I'm sure Kristen Ritter now maybe will come back too. So maybe we'll have Jessica Jones and Elsa Bloodstone. I feel like we'll see Elsa Bloodstone and probably Jack Russell, Werewolf by Night again,
and probably Ted.
Yeah. Oh, Ted, yeah, I'm sure Ted will show up again. So,
now
that we have giant size man thing, which would have been pretty cool because he was pretty giant size. But I remember I love that comic. I'm sure giant size man thing.
I just think it's great, that they finally published a giant size man thing, and it's like, because everyone's like, oh, do you think they knew when they titled? Of course they knew what they were doing.
Of course they.
I mean, Marvel has a history of annuals and things like that called giant size, whatever. Yeah. But I'm sure they were like, "Oh, this will be funny. We should do this."
I've also got my giant size Star Wars, my giant size Captain America, my giant size man thing. Yeah,
you should always have your giant size man.
Sure, of course, as one does.
Yes,
I'm rocking my giant size man thing right now, baby.
Whoa,
hey!
You need a minute?
It's more than a minute, sir. Thank you. It's 2 minutes at least.
Right.
Yeah, right. Anyway, I don't know. I can't say enough good things about this little movie. It's just the tone was perfect. There was a little bit of humor. The horror elements were terrific. The direction I thought was excellent. The writing was excellent, and the music, everything. It just all came together really, really well. And I'm happy to see, from my perspective at least, Marvel sort of embracing its sort of more realistic, more I don't know what the word is, maybe, but more adult-oriented roots a little bit, because Marvel was the comics that weren't just for kids, right? It was more serious because it took place in serious places in real.
It was in the real world,
New York City, gritty Hell's Kitchen, whatever, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yes.
So I'm happy to see that. Plus, they have to transition at some point to explain Blade and explain vampires. In fact, I mean, they basically show a vampire in this.
Right, exactly. So,
I fought him a few times. He was very tough. So,
yes,
werewolf versus vampire. Yeah, I would be happy to see all these guys again. Frankly,
I think they should. Definitely, they should show up in other movies and other TV shows, but. At the same time, I also kind of hope they do a new like Halloween special every year with these folks. I think that would be great.
Yeah, I agree. So
and then coming up next is the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. So
that's right. I wonder what that'll be all about.
I don't. Maybe some space stuff. I don't know. Maybe more black. I don't know.
Will Chris Pratt be doing his Mario Kart voice? I don't know. Mario. Yeah, I don't know. I could think of lots of other people for that, but I guess they wanted a name.
Which is weird because it's like it's a voice. So
Yeah, but
He
you still
doesn't.
you put his name on the poster. So.
I get it, but it's like
And Chris Pratt is Mario. Boom. Oh,
boom, money, just print money at that point.
you just got Mario'd.
Or pratted. I don't know.
You just got pratted.
Let's talk about She-Hulk.
Let us talk about She-Hulk. Yes.
Yes.
A fine episode, and we finally got our appearance of Matt Murdock as Daredevil. I'm Daredevil. The new improved Daredevil. I don't know if you want to call it that, but
yeah,
I thought
it's been 7 years, so I can see him change a little bit.
He's changed. He's got the more comic accurate costume. He's got the whatever. But she did make a joke about him, like ketchup and mustard is kind of a funny joke. But anyway,
that was pretty funny.
This is spoilers for She-Hulk.
Yes.
Obviously. I love the episode. I thought it was great, and I don't know if it's because that Charlie Cox appeared as Daredevil. I mean, that's probably a huge part of it. But I thought the episode just worked on all fronts. And her breaking the fourth wall again, especially at the end, was like, why are you guys still here? That's so weird.
Yeah, doesn't it feel like this episode should be over?
Oh wait, this is next time's the finale. Yeah,
yeah. So next week is the finale, and there must be the twist coming up. I wonder what that's going to be.
And a terrible twist too, for poor Jen.
Is she going to get fridged?
I don't know. That was funny too. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That was
see, I love that the show brings up the comic book tropes, but also the internet tropes.
Right.
And really eviscerates them and highlights their idiocy. And
if people don't know what fridged means, it's a term where a female character, a girlfriend, husband, or wife, or whatever of the male protagonist ends up dying. Right. But it in Daredevil? I can't remember which comic it was in first. He found his girlfriend in the refrigerator.
It was Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, that was it.
Yes. Yeah, literally found his girlfriend stuffed in the fridge after the villain killed her. But it kind of goes back further than that. But yeah, the female character only exists to be horrifically disfigured or murdered in order to finally galvanize the hero into doing what's right and stuff. Right. And there's a long history of that in comics. Thankfully, not so much anymore, but it's still there. So yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. So again, another anti-female trope in comics pointed out by She-Hulk, which is really great.
Yeah, it just I love the fact that she, gets in her costume and he's like Murdoch explains it to her, for as Jen, you can do the things that are above for the law, and then you can also help people who are abandoned by the law as She-Hulk.
Exactly.
You could do the best of both worlds. He's like, yeah, that makes sense. And the fact that they got together, I think, was a great twist. Not that it was hard to see that coming, but it was just
really great chemistry between the two. So.
Yeah, it was just well, that's what I'm saying. And although I suppose people will say, well, he was only attracted to her because he's blind.
Oh, jeez.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like this Matt Murdock has got more humor for sure, and he's not quite as, maybe, I don't know what the word is, tormented by his demons, maybe.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less serious, but he's got all the cool gadgets now. He's got the batons, he's got the all that stuff, and there's another hallway fight, which is terrific. But
I love, sort of. I love that they start the hallway fight and then imply another one, and then she drops in.
She-Hulk smash, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to wait 30 minutes for you. That's not even how that math works.
Yeah, there was definitely more jokes for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
I almost feel like this was the perfect sort of vehicle, I guess, if you want to call it that, to reintroduce Daredevil and sort of
like
make
a pilot.
Kind of make him a little bit less serious. I mean, he's still going to be serious, obviously, and I'm sure the show will have serious issues, but to fit more into sort of the MCU mold, which is not like super dark all the time, like in the Daredevil series on Netflix.
Yeah.
That was super dark. But this is, dark, but with a twist. It's a light center, a light chewy center, maybe.
And he did imply, I think he said either my team or we, so...
Yeah, we do a lot of pro bono work, yeah.
Yeah, so there's hope that Foggy and Karen have to be in the new show, and it has to be the same actors, because they were really a good ingredient to how good that show was.
I haven't seen anything about that, though.
I haven't either, that's the thing, but it's still a ways off. I mean,
it is. It's next year. So far, it's just him and Vincent D'Onofrio, as far as I know. But
right. But so at that point, then it would feel weird if they recast other characters. I would rather them not have those characters in it than recast them, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know, but you can't really have Nelson and Nelson and Murdoch without Nelson. It's kind of hard. So I feel like there will be a Foggy and there will be a Karen, and I don't see why they wouldn't use the same people. Because why not?
Mean, what's her name who played Karen Page was when there were like the rumors of is the show coming back. She was tweeting about how she would welcome the chance to
I'm sure
play the character again. So.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what's going on right now is like, hey, so let's talk. How can we work this out?
Well, I just hope they don't we have to make Karen younger because Deborah Ann Woll, has aged a little bit, but she's not this young ingenue like she was.
Yeah, that's all right. I think
when she came onto the show originally, I don't think it's a problem either. But I mean, but that's what happens sometimes in the showbiz.
Yes.
Karen is supposed to be a certain whatever, so it could be that they recast her. Eldon Henson, they could bring him back, no problem, because it doesn't matter, I guess, as much how Foggy has aged.
But then at that point, it's like it would just stick out like a sore thumb too.
And Rosario Dawson's got to come back. I'm sorry, but that's just got to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
So you're talking about Elodie Young, who played Elektra originally in the Netflix show, is not coming back as Elektra?
No, even if they have Elektra, who knows? But there was somebody else that it's that dumbass website We Got This Covered that makes up tons of bullshit and
dumbass website,
and stirs up trouble all the time. Every bullshit article that you've ever read is tracked back to that goddamn website. Sorry, I'm really infuriated by them because they
seem infuriated.
And they start and for whatever reason, people are like, "Oh, this has got to be true." It's usually the doomcock crowd that's like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be true," and none of it ever pans out to be true, and it's all just because they're all like, "Oh, our trusted sources."
Are you back on your doomcock again?
Yes, with my giant size man thing.
Doomcock, okay.
Anyway, it's it's just this other. It was like, oh yeah, this other actress is going to be, and it's like, I guarantee you, they haven't even gotten to the stage. They're trying to nail down the main. They're right now trying to figure out who is actually going to be in the show. They haven't even cast anyone yet. I'm gonna.
I mean, Charlie Cox would cast, but
well, yeah, of course, but
and good old Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, I think it's great that he's like, I love this role. I will play this for forever. And
I just feel like it's a lot like, I mean, obviously he's not a super villain, but I feel like there's a lot of D'Onofrio as a person, his real personality in this character, because he's like, he loves art. He's very, kind of eccentric, and I mean, because I love Vincent D'Onofrio, but he's kind of eccentric a little bit.
He is.
And so it's just, I really think that he loves it because it's fun. And also, as you're an actor, having a steady gig is nice because he likes to direct now. And so maybe he'll just do that. But I mean, I'm sure that's not all of it, but I'm sure it's part of it that I get to do this. And I know it's going to go for a few years. I'll be involved. It's the right thing at the right time. You know what I mean? So there's no downside for him.
I interviewed him one time, and he started out like when we were talking before we started the interview. It was over the phone, and he was just like one word answers and stuff like that. And yep, fine, blah, and just kind of quiet. And I was like, hey, so is this a good time? He's like, I have a cold. And I was like, oh, okay. And he didn't sound like he had a cold at all. So it was a very interesting interview, but I got him to open up a little bit. But yeah, I'm sure someone like him and some of the other like bigger people I've talked to, I'm sure like, God, this is like the 50th interview in 4 days. I'm so tired of this.
Ask me something interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I did. And that got him. He's like, oh, I've not gotten that question before. I can't believe you saw that in this movie. That's really cool. And then then he got more animated, but it was just like, you could tell at first he was like, here we go again. What's it like to be an actor? Okay, let me go ahead and tell you that, right? So.
Well, you could tell from his Twitter too that he's an interesting character, but
yeah, but no, he's great, and I think he's perfect as Kingpin.
As Kingpin, so. Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree with you. No disrespect to the late other actor who played him, which his name escapes me. I was going to say no disrespect, but I can't remember his name because I'm an idiot. But
wow, so you're disrespecting him by saying no disrespect.
You know what I'm talking about.
I don't actually. So.
In the Ben Affleck Daredevil, who the fuck was that? Oh my god, I'm so terrible. Anyway.
Now I got to go look at. See,
I
now
got
you're going to hear it.
Michael Clark Duncan. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, yes. No, that was an inspired choice as well.
Oh shit! Ellen Pompeo played Karen Page in that movie. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's right.
John Favreau is Foggy, of course. See, you didn't get upset when John Favreau was recast, did you?
That's right. That's right.
And when Ben Affleck was recast, you didn't care about that. It's like, who's this Charlie Cox guy? Where's Ben Affleck? It's bullshit.
Well, Jennifer Garner, when she was recast as Elektra, you didn't get pissed off.
No one got pissed off about that because they're like, wow, that movie sucked.
I can't believe they were going to make a sequel. Well, they did, didn't they?
They did. No. They made 2 Elektra movies, dude.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, because Jennifer Garner was a hot thing back then. I'm not saying not in an attractive sense, but like as an actress, she was like big because of Alias. So it's like we as a big star.
See, that movie with Daredevil was so bad that I can't remember whether they did or did not make a sequel to it because it seems like, well, I don't know. We got the ingredients and we got people signed. Let's make another one. But they made 2 Elektra movies. You're right. They were really terrible.
I know they did because they probably made money. The first one probably made money because people are like, oh, I love that Jennifer Garner. She's super cool. And I did love that Jennifer Garner.
No, but the first, no, they only made 1 Elektra because it only made $56 million against a $65 million budget. Yeah,
I thought they made 2 Elektras.
See, they were so bad that it seems plausible they'd make a sequel, but did they really? No, they didn't. They did a director's cut for both.
Sure. Oh, maybe that's what I saw. I thought it looked like 2. Maybe that's it.
And I don't think the director's cut of either one was any better than the original. So
no, you know what? I wrote a terrible review of this movie, and I made fun of Mark Steven Johnson, and I sort of feel bad about that. I was not a person who would write terrible reviews of things. If I really didn't like something, I wouldn't usually review it. Instead of like trying to badmouth people, I was like, you know what? I don't need that. But
I either wouldn't review it or I'd find something decent to say about it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't see the point in tearing. Because as we keep saying, even this episode, nobody sets out to make a terrible movie, and they do their best, and it just sometimes it doesn't work. So, because he even did Ghost Rider, didn't he, Mark Steven Johnson?
Yes, and that was the thing. It's like, why do they keep giving this guy? So
see, that was the one that got 2 movies.
Yeah, I don't even remember either one of them. I mean, I know Nicolas Cage is a big Ghost Rider fan, but you know who else is a big Ghost Rider fan is Keanu Reeves. But he
is.
He wants to play Ghost Rider.
And he says he's too old for it, but I think he could totally do it.
Keanu Reeves doesn't age.
He doesn't. He's got a portrait in his. That's the horrible thing we're going to find out about him is that he's got a portrait in his
Dorian Gray situation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think you should get him and you should get Paul Rudd together in a movie and see how it goes. See which one can. Anyway.
Have you seen the meme that's like that says? Brendan Fraser and Keanu Reeves could make a movie just called Movie, and we would all go see it.
Right, because they're the 2 people that people like. Except the one guy who was upset at Brendan Fraser for playing a fat guy in a movie. It's like, you can't play a fat gay guy because you're not a fat gay guy. I'm sorry, it's not cool. I mean, you could play a fat guy, but is the problem that you're not gay? I mean, I don't know.
I didn't understand that.
Well, it's. I think it's a little bit of, hey, I haven't been in a movie in a long time. I need to get my name out there again. So.
That could be it. Yeah.
Because he was great in that Mean Girls, but I mean, what's he done since then? I'm not trying to be a dick, I promise, but it's like,
No, but it's true. It's like, well,
punching upward is not,
I need to get myself in some headlines. What's the best way to do it? I know.
I hate Brendan Fraser.
See, there you go.
There's all this positive energy surrounding Brendan Fraser right now, and his coming back to work and overcoming, his trauma and whatever, and now I've got to insult that by getting my name out there.
Yeah, so. I don't think that's the way you want to further your career. But hey, you do you.
You do you, man. It's just.
Anywho,
I don't know how we got on that thing. Deborah Ann Woll, by the way, only 37. So
that's what I'm saying.
She could absolutely play a Karen Page again. Although maybe she won't be interested in the in the darker timeline of Karen Page's character, but we'll see.
Well, again, it's going to be on Disney, and we have a much lighter Daredevil. I don't know that they would get.
I don't know, man. It's getting. Well, that's true. Daredevil is lighter, and he's not all red. He's not the devil, even though he has horns.
I just saw a guy in a devil suit doing the walk of shame. That was great.
Yeah. By the way, when she jumped out with those makeup brushes in her hand, she was doing Wolverine. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. And there was a little hint of a snick there. That was great.
Come on. They're absolutely saying. And plus, that's the show where there's also been like 2 other things with Wolverine. Man in Canada fights with metal claws or something.
Yeah.
So they're totally talking about Wolverine. But anyway.
And by the way, Daredevil is going to appear, and Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin will appear again in the Echo TV series before they're in the Daredevil series.
Echo.
Yeah, Echo. So that'll be fun.
You know, the other thing we haven't mentioned is the new Wakanda trailer, but we could talk about that. But I also want to talk about, we could talk about trailers, but I mean, we should talk about Star Trek Picard in a minute. But,
yes.
So anyway, She-Hulk, a great episode. I'm looking forward to see how they wrap it all up, and hopefully there'll be another season because I really enjoy, Tatiana Maslany's character. I really enjoy her as Jen, and all. I think she's terrific, and she's good at everything. People don't like the show because not that much happens sometimes or whatever. It's like about character building, like you always talk about. It doesn't need to. It's this interesting stuff that's happening, and they're interesting enough to watch for me. And you know what? If it's not your cup of tea or whatever, then don't watch it. It's fine. I'm also using cup of tea as a transition to Picard in a second too. But I think it's terrific. And again, I'm sure some of it was the fact that I always wanted to see Charlie Cox play Daredevil again. I thought he should get another chance, and it's terrific. I kept saying terrific. It's awesome. It's wonderful to see sort of a happier, slightly more athletic and more sort of like acrobatic, because he wasn't really as acrobatic in the Netflix show, because in this he can jump around and they have more money, I suppose. That's one reason. But
that's probably true. Yeah.
It's more comic accurate, and he can just be, he could just be doing some shit. So I'll be really, really interested in seeing what they do with the 18 episodes of the new Marvel Daredevil show.
Yeah.
I got to think it's going to be a whole thing when they bring back all the Defenders. Whatever. It's going to be a whole. They're going to bring back everybody. I think it's going to. That's my prediction. Everyone will be there, and it'll be a giant, Marvel on the ground storyline that leads into something else like Secret Wars or whatever. I don't know, but it'll be cool. So
yes, I agree.
It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. As we always say, it's an embarrassment of riches.
I know. It's just stop all the hate and just enjoy what you like.
Power show I'm enjoying. There was a really good episode of House of the Dragon or whatever last week too.
I hate that. That's stupid.
Well, that's fine. You don't have to watch it.
I don't watch it, and I don't talk about it. So there we go.
No, that's fine. I'm still watching it, and it was a really excellent episode last week. But it's just weird to me how much George R. R. Martin enjoys like marrying cousins to each other. But that's another story. Uncles and nieces. Like
he seems to be pretty obsessed with incest. I don't understand. But
I mean, it's a thing that happens. I mean, I guess you could say it's a thing that happened in the medieval world or whatever, because the royalty would want to keep the bloodline as pure as possible, and so in this particular episode.
But it's a fictional world. You don't.
Yes, one Targaryen marries his niece to keep the bloodline together. So there you go.
Yeah. Well,
Matt Smith marries what's her face. Matt Smith is growing on me in the show too. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that because you're not watching it. But I'm kind of enjoying it. Last week was a pretty good episode, but this Rings of Power episode was terrific. I'm like, I'm really digging the show. It's really finding its footing. And as you and I talked about in the pre-show, I really feel like the break was good for the show because they had to stop production during COVID. I feel like the actors were able to sort of find their way back to the characters a little bit better, and they were able to sort of tweak the show, because not everybody gets that opportunity. If they're trying to shoot, they got to finish, but they actually, maybe the break was a blessing in a way, because they were able to fix the things they wanted to fix.
Yes.
And sort of fine-tune stuff and make it better. But this episode was great. I really enjoyed it a lot. And you get a sense of, what's happening. And, of course, you get to see the foundation of that place where the shadows are, right?
Spoilers. Mordor. Yes.
Mordor. Well, I was going to say that, but...
Yeah, we did. But I did. Sorry.
But we did. So, I'm really liking Galadriel. I thought, she's doing great. And the king guy is still alive.
He's going off to the elves. That felt slightly weird to me. It's like, our king is alive. All hail the king. Yep, gotta go. Bye.
Peace.
Yeah, I know. We just went through a really horrible thing, and you need my leadership, but I'm gonna
You guys are going to be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be great.
You'll be fine. We're going to leave this kid in charge. No, we're going to leave this nurse in charge, or this doctor, whatever she is. Bronwyn is going to be in charge.
Yes.
And this other elf, I'll leave him in charge too.
Who I don't think had any lines in this episode, but he got
a hug though. He got a hug from his new surrogate child. So that was.
But joking aside, I like that this show isn't like. My fear was the mysteries that they set up at the beginning would be like, so we're going to go through 5 years of this, right? And it's like, no, not really. We're going to, I think it's all going to kind of come together in the finale and lead into the next season. So I like that it doesn't, it has momentum, I guess, as the kids say. I love the characters, and it's compelling story, and just, you can tell they have money because it's shot very well. That whole scene at the beginning of the episode where they're in the village that's been decimated was just really interestingly shot with all the ash.
They have one damn burning horse though.
Yeah, it was like, poor horse.
Sorry.
Oh,
yeah. It wasn't really on fire, Joe.
Oh, okay. It wasn't? Okay.
No, I would imagine the horse was completely computer generated. But hey, it's like you see that in every movie. Like they did that in Game of Thrones too. It's like, and it's from like
there's always a horse on fire.
World War II films where there's always a horse that runs out of the thing, on fire. But whatever. War is terrible, I guess.
Well, it's like put them out or something. Come on, you got.
Well, she just watched it go by. I thought the elves loved fucking horses, and it's like, oh, it's on fire. I don't care.
It's like, well.
Stop. She's like, stop, drop, and roll. And they didn't.
Right. At least you can speak horse or something, can't you? Come on, help them out.
Yeah. That's what I didn't understand. It's like, it'll figure it out. It's running to the river or something. But
if it runs faster, it'll put it fire out.
Right. That's it. Yeah. Maybe she's like, it's too late. There wasn't. I feel like if there was that much soot and ash and whatever everybody would be coughing, but Galadriel's like, yeah, whatever. We don't really breathe. We're elves. We don't care.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, that was a cool scene. Very, very, very dark and macabre, maybe a little bit, whatever you want to call it. But it's a cool show. I don't know why it gets bad mouth. I think it's just that people have no patience for things and they don't want to let stuff develop. I think it's because of TikTok and things like that. Or,
Could be.
It's like, I don't have time. I don't have time to wait. I'm really busy. I don't have time, so I have to hurry up, get to the point. But
I'm really enjoying it. I can't believe we're already to the end of the season this coming week, which is which I guess is a good sign that I really enjoy it, because it's like, wow, is it already done with the season? Holy cow! Jeez.
Well, I feel like there wasn't that many episodes, really.
It's only 8 this year, but they're going to do 10 in subsequent seasons.
I'm also bummed out that She-Hulk is ending. I'm also, a lot of things are ending. I know that we'll get another. I mean, Andor's got a few more episodes, which we don't even, I think, have time to talk about this week. But
no, not this week. But
great episode, though. I enjoyed it.
That's another one that people are like, oh, nothing happens in it. It's like, well, I disagree.
A lot happens
but
if you're paying attention. A lot happens.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and people like explosions and a lot of action and adventure, and they just don't like character development. I think that's what we've talked about, is that it seems to me the Marvel and Star Wars and other shows are meant to play out over a longer narrative and have more character development and more motivation for the events that happen, instead of just like, big explosions and stuff every week.
That's the point of doing it on TV, right? Or doing it episodically, so you can develop the characters. But I also think it's still a budgetary thing, because if you're doing a feature, like a big movie that has to go in theaters, I think you need more of that. I think you need more
you got to
action
justify
and more spectacle or whatever. And it's more rare in a movie to have people just sit around and talk for like 20 minutes.
Right.
Unless it's a movie about that, and then that's fine. But in a Marvel film, the characters don't sit around and talk about their feelings very much. It's like, we got to smash some shit. We got to blow some shit up. We got to cut Thanos' head off.
We've only got 2 hours, guys. We've
only got 2.5 hours. Yeah, we got to get moving. We got a lot of shit to do.
Yeah.
But in a thing like this, the stories can evolve over time. You get to develop the characters, and that's, I was like with Andor, I was like, well, okay, I am kind of interested in Cassie and Andor. What makes a person willing to sacrifice their life?
Right.
That was interesting to me, and also, you didn't really get that very much developed with his character. You get more about Jin, because it's more about Jin Erso's story than it is about his story. But why is Cassie in there at all? He's a believer. He's a true believer, I guess. But what makes him do that? I see more about why she would maybe do it. But also, I think they would have escaped if they could have.
Well,
So
yeah, I think so.
they
And
didn't necessarily give up and go, there's an exit right here. We could just fly away. But no. So
right,
they
yes,
were willing to take a suicide mission if it was necessary. But I think their intent was to survive at one point. So,
right.
but I'm enjoying Andor a lot. I think it's interesting. It's an interesting show. I don't know why I'm talking about Andor, even though we said we weren't going to. But anyway, Rings of Power. Let's get back to that.
Yes. Okay, let's get back to Rings of Power. So yes, no, really good. I like the more what we're getting of the story of things that we only knew about in passing. Even the stuff with Elrond and Durin is great. It's like, man, especially the acting between the two actors. It's like, man, you really believe these guys have been best friends for decades.
Yeah.
And it's really good and really well done. And but dwarves will still be dwarves because
Dwarver's got a dwarf.
yeah. But no, it's I don't know. It's really I think maybe I was worried at first. God, hold on. Okay. I think I was worried at first.
Get a sip of water, bro. What the hell?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was worried at first that they maybe had too many big, even though it's like only three, I guess, too many big storylines going on and how they would do service to all of them. But they're balancing them well and doing a great job, I think.
Definitely. Well, I mean, they know they have 5 years.
Right,
So
right.
the story is not going to end for like the Harfoots is not going to end with this series, this first season. They're going to go on, and the Gandalf subplot will go on. He's not a
Yes.
bad guy after all. He's a good guy. Look, the plants grew back.
Yes, yes.
The whole thing was so. I think it's even more apparent that that's not it's not Sauron. But anyway,
Yeah.
but
I
do you
think the
think
guy
it's
chasing him is Sauron. Yeah.
you think so, or is it Saruman?
Oh, that could be Saruman. Yeah.
But that guy's kind of a dick. Let's be honest. So
Well, yeah, true. But he seemed like Saruman seemed like he was a good guy for a little while. Otherwise, he and Gandalf probably wouldn't be pals. Although maybe they were, when they were angels or gods or whatever, they were.
Well, he was the head of his magical order or whatever. So
That's true.
I don't think it's Saruman. You're right. It could be Sauron. I guess that makes sense because he does use the fire. Those guys are cool though. Like, I'm gonna fight you. I'll have you, Longshanks, or whatever. he says.
Yes.
And he's like, nope, I've got that flame. I'm just gonna blow up your shit.
Yeah, I'm just going to burn all your stuff. So goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah, that was very
That
sad.
was sad.
The thing that I enjoy about this kind of thing is that since you're developing these characters so much, you actually care more about the stakes. You care more about the
Right.
people,
Exactly.
which makes it more. To me, I have more of an investment in the show that way than I do necessarily in a movie. Because in a movie, it's like, well, everyone's going to survive probably.
Right.
But in
right.
this, I can truly see that, except for the characters I know live, like Galadriel and Isildur, for example, they're basically, they have plot armor and they're not going to die. But a lot of other people could, and because we don't know the sort of details of this whole prequel time.
Right. Right.
But if this were a movie, then you'd be assured that most people would die. Like, look at the Avengers movies. Like, who died? Maybe. And people can still come back, too, right? I mean, Tony Stark, it took 10 movies for him to die.
Right. And now we have the multiverse. So.
Right, exactly. And so you can justify bringing back whoever you want or not bringing back people if you don't want to.
Right.
But the thing like this, you definitely feel invested. So the reason I brought that up is I'll just call him Sauron. When he destroys the carts, you really feel for the people who are being hurt, and you really feel for for them. And also, like when the villagers, they had won this one battle, and it turns out they were fighting their own people, and then the orcs really come. It's like, oh fuck, what's going to happen? Because you feel like a lot of them could die because you don't really know what their fates are.
Well, then they feel like they won, and then
then the volcano explodes, and they're still fucked.
Yeah.
So it's like you're fighting a losing battle. But anyway, I like the fact that the stakes are higher. I mean, I know the elves are going to be fine, and I know that they're going to reach an agreement because obviously the elves have mithril at some point because they give Bilbo a mithril jacket or
they do. They do make a deal because it's the dwarves that build the forges to make the rings. So
right. Obviously, they're going to make a deal. So the elves are never really in jeopardy since they show up in the Lord of the Rings movies. But
right, they're still around. So
they're still around. I really do, like you said, I really do feel their relationships can be built better, and I totally believe those two guys are buddies. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's because you've got the chance to see that relationship develop over time.
Exactly.
And that's not something you get necessarily in a movie because you have to rely more on stereotypes like, oh well, like, Gimli, never trust an elf, but
Yeah, or you make a 5-hour movie and,
well, by the time,
by the time
they're in the third film and they're fighting together, he's fighting with Legolas, you can see they've had a chance to develop their relationship because he and Legolas are brothers now, right?
Right.
Or friends. Like, would you die with a friend? It's like, yeah, I'll do that,
Yes.
But then they don't die, so it's fine.
Exactly. But yeah, you've had like 6 hours, 7 hours
at least, yeah,
of story before that to lead up to that. So that's why I really enjoy the extended editions of those movies and The Hobbit, because you get to see more of the character development. I know people are like, oh, it's just more people talking and more of that. It's like, yeah, but that builds it so that by the end of it, it's like, oh, the stakes are high and you understand more why they're doing what they're doing instead of just being told. And I feel this is the same way. Andor is the same way. She-Hulk is the same way. It's like, let's get to know these characters, and I don't know. I like that a lot more. And
Andor to me is a little bit different, only because I don't necessarily think that Andor. I mean, it's nice. What interests me about this is like the formation of the rebellion.
Yes,
I'm interested in the Mon Mothma stuff. I'm interested in how the rebellion gets started and how it progresses to a point where it can basically destroy the Death Star. That's kind of a big deal.
Right.
So that part of it, the political intrigue and stuff, is interesting to me. Andor as a character, I thought, when I was watching Rogue One, I'm like, I wonder what makes that guy tick. I didn't necessarily need his backstory because, again, it was more about Jyn Erso's character.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying, Diego Luna's doing a great job. I mean, that guy's a phenomenal actor, obviously. So he's doing, kicking ass in that thing. And
I think they made a really smart move in doing all the sets practical.
Yeah.
And I think I said this before or last week that it just feels like, to me, it feels visually the most like the original Star Wars movie than any of the sequels, prequels, and TV series ever. Because
right down to them using an old SX-70 Polaroid camera as the navigation thing. That's very, very lived in. It's like very That was funny.
It's not shiny. It's not polished. It's like, no, you believe these people live in this. I don't know. It feels visually and tonally great. So, yeah, anyway.
And it's also seeing my boy Richie from The Bear in the show, too. I love that, too.
Well, there you go. All right.
He's terrific.
That's the one that you have suggested I haven't watched yet, but you
got to watch The Bear.
It's on my list. Dude. It's on my list. So
no, I mean the actor Abel Bacharach. He's got a history with Marvel or with Disney because he was in the Punisher show. And he's done. He's terrific in The Bear. I mean, he's one of the best characters in the show, which is saying something because all the characters in The Bear are really good. But I think he's an interesting character in Andor too, because he's a person who has obviously suffered a lot at the hands of the Empire, including. I know we weren't going to talk about Andor. We're talking about it for a second, I guess.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
In this last episode, you get a lot of stuff. You find out about a lot of stuff about him and how his brother was, whatever. So I wonder if that will be a problem during the heist episode, where I wonder if he'll just lose his shit and try to go for straight revenge instead of whatever. So
maybe, yeah. We'll see.
There's definitely a random element there, and plus now we're seeing how Cassian learns to wear an Empire uniform and infiltrate stuff. He's got experience.
Exactly. See, yeah, this is really
anyway. I'm enjoying the show a lot. We'll get back to Andor after the finale, probably, or at least next week or whatever, and we'll talk about the She-Hulk finale. I'm sure next week.
Oh yes, of course.
And the Rings of Power finale.
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. And now, how long do we have to wait till season 2? Because it's going to be like a year at least, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they're shooting it right now. They just started shooting it, so
that's bullshit. I don't like waiting for things. Anyway, speaking of things that I'm waiting for, though, let's briefly touch on the Picard trailer.
Oh man, yeah.
It's so awesome to see because I'll say that Star Trek for me was my first experience was the original series with Kirk and everything. And I was skeptical a tiny bit of Next Generation, but I totally got into it pretty quickly.
Yes.
Because I was just happy to see more Star Trek in general. And like, why is the captain bald? That's weird. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He looked like my dad, which is kind of weird, but except for my dad was not a Frenchman or British guy playing a Frenchman.
Oh.
But Jean-Luc. Anyway, but man, this looks crazy, but super cool. So
there's a lot going on in that trailer.
There's a lot going on. I didn't see anybody else except there wasn't that many from like the first 2 seasons. I didn't see really. Who was the? Oh gosh, now I'm gonna forget everybody's name. You know who I'm talking about. His one friend. It was like the only one who was in the show.
Raffi and Seven are both in it. Yeah, those are the only 2 that are returning from previous seasons. So
yeah.
Or that we know of. I mean, there may be surprises we don't know of. It seems like they were like, oh, here's all our surprises, but maybe there's more to come. So,
well, I would imagine there is more to come because they have to, like save something for, I'm surprised they gave away Brent Spiner's character. But
yeah, he was the only one they hadn't revealed who he was playing, and here it is, Data's evil twin lore. Yeah. It's like, whoa. And then another deep dive into earlier seasons of Next Generation. The holographic Moriarty is back. It's like, how is he back? Since he was a hologram on the Enterprise D holodeck. What the heck? So,
well, and they got a new Enterprise, apparently.
Yeah.
Plenty of letters in the alphabet, as Picard says, right?
There is, yes. So, there was a lot going on. And then Amanda Plummer playing... apparently the big bad,
right?
And no idea how she seems to have a grudge with Picard and his crew specifically, although we don't know how, but I'm sure we'll find out.
Maybe because her dad, Christopher Plummer, was also... No, wait, that doesn't matter. He played a Klingon, though, so I think she's wrong.
And he was a Klingon with Kirk and his crew.
Anyway. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. They're long-lived.
It's all the same universe, man.
I have to say, though, the highlight of the whole trailer was as they're beaming down, Worf saying, by the way, I should let you all know that I have renounced violence and I am now a pacifist.
Yeah.
And Riker's comment, we're all going to die.
We're all going to die now. But then I would imagine that Worf finds his inner Klingon at one point.
Probably. It turns out today is a good day to die. So.
Turns out, yeah. So they all look great. I mean, they obviously they've aged, but everyone looks happy. I imagine they're just happy to be there.
Yes.
But it is interesting how they apparently lure Picard out into space because, I received a distress call from Beverly Crusher. It's like, oh, I got to go out there and see what's up. But
yeah.
So I don't know. I'm in. Just show me whatever. I'm happy.
February, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm sad that it's going to be the last season, but
February.
Yeah, but so I'm sad it's going to be the last season. But I'm hopeful, especially what people seem to be hinting at, that we'll see more of this era of Star Trek, if not necessarily Picard and his crew, but more with some of the characters we've grown to love. Hopefully, so. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't know what, because Jonathan Frakes had tweeted something out, whether they're going to do more of this. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll see. I guess we don't know what happens at the end of this season. Maybe they launch into, we need a geriatric version of...
I mean, maybe Patrick Stewart has been like, you know what? Maybe I don't want to do just 3. Because I think that was kind of his thing. It's like, well, we should do 3 seasons. I don't think I have it in me to do, 5 or 7. But maybe
Patrick
Maury's
Stewart
talking about it.
He's 82 years old. I mean, give the guy a break. Maybe he's just,
No, totally. But maybe he's like, if I could see continuing, and maybe we should, but not necessarily like being the stars of the show. It's like I could see Picard like mentoring the next generation or something. I don't know, but I have a feeling that
who would
will
that
continue.
Be? Raffi? I mean...
Well, Geordi's kids are in Starfleet in this, and in fact, he has 2 daughters apparently in the show, and one of them is played by LeVar Burton's actual daughter. So that would be kind of cool. So,
well, I mean, you could always keep Jerry Ryan going too, because
Raffi and Seven. I mean, sure, why not? I would totally watch that.
They could do adventures, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only person you really can't bring back, I mean, you can't bring back Santiago Cabrera, right? Because he's on Earth in the past, so he'll never come back.
And they talked about his death and all that kind of stuff, so that character is kind of tied off, unfortunately. But
yeah. But you could bring back almost everybody else if you wanted
to. Yeah. I don't see why stories in that era couldn't continue in some fashion. And I would imagine with the success they're having with Picard, I'm sure those discussions have happened. It's like, hey, how do we, we're not going to use the Next Generation crew anymore, but how do we continue stories in this era? So,
well, right, because then they'll have the previous generation where we're transitioning into maybe OG Star Trek with Kirk and everybody, and then you'll have Next Generation, which could be a whole new crew, new missions, and then you have Discovery, which is the future, and you could have like all kinds of Star Trek shit going all at the same time.
Absolutely.
And why not?
Yes, more Trek, more of the time.
And then another DS9 kind of show, because you have to have like a space station show.
Sure.
Which you could also do. You could just totally, I mean, I'm surprised that they haven't tried to bring any of those characters onto anything. So
they have. Lower Decks had a Deep Space Nine episode, and
I know, but Lower Decks doesn't count. That's not.
Yes, it does. It absolutely counts. They had Kira and Quark on it, so yeah.
I'm talking about live action though. I'm talking about
fine. Well, that could be the test. It's like, oh, people reacted well to this, so let's bring back Cisco now and in live action and do that.
Yeah, Cisco's still alive, right? He could totally. Avery Brooks is still around, so
yeah. See, so it too counts. Stop.
It could count. Well, I think if they transition to a sort of Next Generation timeline series, then they could absolutely bring back DS9 stuff.
You know how they're going to give legitimacy to Lower Decks, right? There's a crossover episode in the next season of Strange New Worlds with two of the characters from Lower Decks appearing in live action on Strange New Worlds somehow, even though it's in the future of Strange New Worlds. So, see, it does count. It all matters, man.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it's all connected.
It's a multiverse.
Yes.
What was the other trailer? Oh, the new Wakanda Forever trailer. Yeah, they're definitely. Man. I feel like. Yeah, I think it's gonna. It seems like it's being positioned to be Shuri, right? I mean, that's what it seems like anyway.
Seems like to me, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's cool. I like the fact that they decided not to recast, and that they're like, yeah, we're actually gonna kill the character and honor the character and the actor. At the same time. So that was smart. I know a lot of people are like, oh, they should just recast. It's like.
There's never going to be another. I mean, they could go forward with a sort of female Black Panther for a while, I'm sure. But I think eventually you will see, or maybe what will happen is you'll see Shuri being Black Panther, but you'll also get another sort of descendant of Chadwick Boseman's character of T'Challa, maybe another person being Black Panther also. Maybe they can be together as a team kind of thing, and maybe it'll be Killmonger. I don't know. Maybe that's what the solution will be. It'll be both of them together.
It'll be more than one Black Panther. Yeah,
taking on the mantle. I mean, because it's just. I mean, I guess they're gonna. I mean, they talked about how there could be only one, I suppose, but maybe Shuri just won't want to do it at some point. She'll be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Or she'll try to honor her brother's legacy in a different way. I mean, I guess they can continue with Letitia Wright. She's not terribly. I mean, people all don't hate her, right? She's only sort of.
Yeah,
come under fire for a few things.
She was
an anti-vaxxer or whatever.
Again, it's like. Anyway, we I don't want to get back into it, but
no,
I think she's fine, anyway.
Although I did see, I will, say that when I saw the trailer appear on Twitter, for example, a lot of people were like, "Don't have it be Shuri. I won't watch the show." I'm like, wow, people just don't like her.
It's like, well, then don't watch it.
Yeah, I think it's going to make money whether you watch it or not.
Yeah, I don't think they're worried about.
It's like people, that's the joke. It's like people, I'm unfollowing you or whatever. It's like, well, that's fine. And
that's great. I don't have to see your idiocy anymore.
Thanks for announcing that. It's not like
right.
So
yes, whatever. That's not quiet quitting. Come on.
Yeah, I'm still on Facebook for a few things like groups. Like on Facebook, there's a film and TV crew group which I sort of watch the posts and stuff. There's some pretty good nostalgia posts about shows and stuff. But one guy just like, this is half these people aren't even real crew. I'm quitting the group, and I was like, people roasted him for like weeks. It's pretty funny, but
yeah, I'm mostly on there for the mead and 3D printing groups.
Yeah. I mean, I have a couple of photography groups, and
I have some friends I like to keep up with, but yeah.
Promoting the show.
Yes,
is another reason I'm on there. But that's pretty much it. I don't really spend a lot of time on Facebook. I don't post on Facebook.
I don't really spend time on that or Twitter anymore. It's just like,
Yeah, I find that I'm happier when I don't.
Yeah, exactly. I'm less angry.
I'm less angry. Yeah. So that's probably a good thing. All right, so that's a lot. So maybe we should just pick some stuff and get out of here.
Yes.
Do you have a pick this week, my friend?
I do, and I can't. This is another one I can't remember if I picked it before or not. But if I have, I apologize. Did. But it's a TV series that just recently ended after 2 seasons, and it's called Kevin Can Fuck Himself. It's a really well done subversive show. It's a black comedy, and it's basically about. It explores the life of a sitcom wife when she's trying to figure out her place in the universe. So it gets more involved in that because it switches between the sitcom version of the story, which is like multi-camera and looks like it's shot before a live studio audience and has a laugh track, and then and that's as long as the main character, Kevin, who's like a repugnant asshole, and her husband, as long as he's in the frame, it's shot and done like a sitcom. But like when she walks out of the room, like the whole cinematography and everything changes, the same set and everything, but it changes to a single camera and a drama. And it's just really interesting. And so she's like plotting to like how she's going to leave this life, like even to the point of like hiring someone to kill the guy. And how does that play out in the sitcom? I don't know. It's just I'm definitely not explaining it right, but it's basically the whole thing is it kind of came out of that Kevin James sitcom Kevin Can Wait, where they just summarily fired the wife off the show and brought in Leah Remini from his previous sitcom because they were like, well, that'll get us better ratings, and they actually deal with that in a very interesting way in the final episode, but it kind of plays off of how horribly treated wives are on sitcoms, basically, especially when the guy is the lead character and lead actor, and what would they do to get through that, and what do they do between scenes, basically, and it's weird because they never really acknowledge that there's a difference between the two universes. I don't know. It's really interesting. I kind of was like, when they announced, oh, it's coming back for a second season, and that's going to be the final season. I was like, well, that's a little weird. Only 2 seasons, but it works. They got to tell the story they wanted, and it's very good. It definitely pokes fun, not even pokes fun, but eviscerates sitcom stereotypes, especially against women. And it's really good. I recommend it. It's on AMC. I'm sure the whole thing is available now on there, so you can binge both seasons.
I have never seen it, but now it makes it sound interesting. I do like things that make fun of other things.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So I think...
skewer things.
Yeah, it does skewer. I think a lot of people, even fans of sitcoms, who have to begrudgingly admit how kind of stereotypical they are and horrible they are, would really like this. It's really good. So
that's cool. I'll check it out. I mean, I always like to find new things to watch. So
yeah,
and I like to be entertained and surprised, because I think as a person, and you may experience this as well, and I think we've talked about this before, as a person who used to make these things, worked in the industry, as you want to call it.
Yes.
You sometimes become cynical maybe about, this, or blasé, I guess is a word. You know how things are done, and you're like, you understand how the story works, and there's got to be, there's only so many people that can have done it,
Yeah, exactly.
It's not possible. You can't bring a person in at the last minute who did the deed. You understand story and whatever. So I like to be surprised, or I like to be, entertained by things that I've never seen before, or things that are done well. Which is why I'm going to pick the thing we talked about the most today, which is Werewolf by Night.
Yes.
It's. I know we talked about it, and I know it's kind of I don't want to say it's an obvious pick, but I want to make sure that I emphasize how really, really well done it is.
Yes.
If you're even a casual fan of horror, or if you just like good stories well told, or if you just like good action, there's some good fights in it, and it's sort of there's some jokes. It's kind of funny, but it is poignant. It's got a heart, and I know that's sometimes people get offended by that or are uncomfortable with that, but there's a real relationship in the show, and it's not the relationship you might expect. It's between a werewolf and a man thing. It's like you can tell they have a real camaraderie and they really like each other. And, and they have. It's a very well developed relationship between like I said, a man and a werewolf and a man thing. And anyway, but in a short period of time, they really go a long way to make you interested in these characters, especially the major ones. Obviously, they can't do it for everybody, but because of time constraints and whatever. But it's really well done. Technically, it's brilliant, and everything across the board. It's excellent and well worth your time. So that's what I'm going to pick this week. So anyway, Werewolf by Night, baby. If you like horror, the thing is, I say if you like horror, but it's not. It's a little bit graphic, but it's not like super scary or anything, right?
No, if you like old school, like Hammer film type horror movies, which I am a huge fan of, more so than more modern slasher flicks and stuff like that. But if you like the old school monster movies, this will be totally right up your alley and very enjoyable.
I don't think there's very many even jump scares. I think there's maybe one or two. But it's not like super graphic. No, people get, people lose some limbs here and there or whatever. But the fact that it's black and white also makes that more palatable, I think, because you don't see the viscera squirting out of people necessarily. But I do enjoy the fact that, towards the end, the bloodstone kind of like, it's a really good Wizard of Oz moment, I guess we could call it.
Well, the bloodstone was always kind of red, even.
And that was cool. I mean, that reminded me of Spielberg, obviously.
Yeah, but when
you know what I mean?
Washes away you got to watch it.
You got to watch it. Yeah. So anyway, all right. So find the Flickcast at Spotify, at Apple Podcasts, and all the places you find podcasts. Find Joe and I on the socials. Joe's at What Joe Writes. I am at Chris U or Ulrich Picks on Instagram. And of course, the Flickcast is at TheFlickcast. And our link tree for finding all the links is, linktr.ee.
There you go. You got it.
I got it that time. Yeah. Well, it's basically a link tree, but it has a dot between the E's. The Flickcast. Yeah. And all that stuff. So yeah, ratings, reviews, whatever. Thank you for the people who've reviewed or rated the show on Spotify and on Apple. That's very helpful.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Joe appreciates it.
Yes.
We enjoy doing the thing, and we'll continue to do the thing for a while still until we get bored. No, I don't know.
Until they make us stop.
Until then, that's the fun thing about democracy, I suppose, or about podcasts, is that no one can tell you not to do it. No one controls what we do.
That's true.
We can, as long as we have the will and the means, as long as we can keep going forever if we wanted to.
Yep.
So we already control the means of production. So we
control the vertical. We control the horizontal. Oh wait, no, that's a different thing.
There's no horizontal or vertical. There's definitely some levels though. Or
yes, I know. Yes.
Come on. Anyway. Anything else, Joe?
No, I think that's it. I think that's enough.
You think that's enough? Yeah, it's a long episode. Sorry, folks. We tend to talk. So there you go. All right, cool. So for Joe Dilworth, I'm Chris Ulrich. That was the Flickcast. Thanks for listening.